Alright, so Armando here with Pendley's Plentiful Pets, Arizona Fish Rescue, based out of Kingman, Arizona. I'm sorry if I'm a little up close and personal with the camera right here, but I just figured I'd take you along with a little, like 1 week after we started up this little aquascape garden thing out here. And all I'm going to do here this time is I'm going to replant some of the stems that floated up. I'm going to start the first half dose of fertilizer on this tank, and I'm going to top it off, and then we're going to move on to another small project. It's nothing too big today. Just want to take you guys along with it, and thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy and learn something. All right.
Looks beautiful though, man. Looks great.
Yeah, all the plants are starting to grow up, starting to look a little bit green.
It's a gorgeous little garden.
It's just getting started. A lot of these plants look way different once they get a little bit more mature.
Can't wait to see what you do.
So everything goes well. All the stuff should reach the surface in a couple weeks. Especially the Anacaris and the Rotala. This stuff kind of grows a little bit more dense. This stuff will grow pretty tall, a little bit slower, but still tall. This stuff and that, they both grow crazy fast. You know how those grow. This hygrophila, you can see like in that tank right there. It's a little bit of a slow grower because it has to grow a lot bigger leaves and thicker stems. This, I don't have much experience with this stuff. I'm interested to see what it does. This, I don't even remember the name of it for a second. I think it's called the cardinal plant. I think it's like Lobelia cardinalis or something like that. But yeah, and then once we get those root tabs in, especially on this side, this sword, smaller swords, these crypts, and these valves will all go crazy. Alright, so let's just keep replanting uprooted stems. It's honestly the first time I've ever planted plants with my left hand.
Oh, it's a new thing. First time for everything.
What things we do for the camera.
The mic was giving me trouble last time. I'll be right back.
Alright, see you in 3 hours. Most of the stuff that's floated up is just old leaves, mostly dead plants. Yeah, it's mainly just old stems that are half dead and decaying, with some of them are just some of the shorter stems that we planted. The shorter stems are kind of a little bit more finicky to get staying around. So obviously a longer stem is going to be able to go to the bottom of the substrate layer, which is going to hold better. These, if we were to do that, we would just bury them. So we have to do it a little bit more tediously. Might take a couple tries. We just got to get them to hold long enough for roots to grow, and then once roots grow, they all stay down easy. Especially stems like this. See how small that is right there? It can definitely grow, but it's kind of a pain to get to stay down at first. It only takes a few days to get roots to take grasp though, so it's not that bad. Sometimes they just float up time and time again. Alright. There's some Lobelia right there. And most of that is, yeah, pretty much all this is just leaves, half-dead floating plants, and old stems. So now we're just going to net out all this gunk, top up the tank, and then dose the fertilizer, and I think we'll be done with this. It's pretty simple in here today. No big trimming, no rescapes. Everything's doing fine right now. I'm just gonna trim off some algae-ridden jungle val leaves over here, because we're trying to limit as much algae as we possibly can in here. All right. Now we take a net and net all this stuff out. Let's grab ourselves a little net. Alright, that's the surface pretty much clean. There's a couple of these stems, a couple of these leaves stuck on some airline here, but that's about it. Just do a few more passes over, see if we can get anything that we missed. Mainly just scooping duckweed now. The reason we don't want floating plants in this tank is because we're trying to get as much light to the bottom of the tank as we can. This is mainly a stem and root feeding plant grow out tank. We have our own separate tanks that we're growing for floaters, just in case anybody's worried about scooping out floaters. No floaters in this tank. We have enough in other tanks. This tank we need bright for plants that are a little bit farther down. Let's get this in here. We're gonna move the lid so it doesn't come up, because every time I fill this tank, for some reason it always falls out, drenches the floor, so we're trying to avoid that this time. Or just clamping it down with the lid. We're also going to install, I think, 2 more lights on this tank to try and get a little bit brighter. Alright, water's coming now, and then I'm going to get the fertilizer ready. So, just like with everything, I always shake up, well, just like with all the other fertilizer, I always shake up the fertilizer before use. This time we're using Sikkim Flourish, just to give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we can move on to another. But I like it. It has a good range of nutrients in here. It has a good NPK. We also just have it on hand. I'm trying to use our resources here. So let's read this. We're going to see how much to dose this tank. Because we're going to do a half dose, not a full dose. This is 100 gallons flat, I think. So we're going to go with a dose that's fit for about 50 gallons. And conveniently, it says directions. Use 1 capful, 5 mils for each 250 liters or 60 US gallons, once or twice a week. We're going to start with a half dose once a week. This is a 100 gallon tank, but I feel like we can comfortably use a 60 gallon dose. It's still about half, about 60%, which is fine. That works. If it proves to be too much, we can always cut it down. What we're mainly looking for is to get enough nutrients in the water column to get the plants growing in a vibrant green, putting out more leaves, growing taller, but without algae. We don't want so much fertilizer that we're starting to get algae problems, but we want enough fertilizer to where the plants are growing and we're kind of defeating algae, because algae thrives off an imbalance of nutrients. Plants have a lot higher requirements for nutrients. Even though these are all still basic plants, they still have, general requirements of, nutrient amounts in the water column. So we're going to test this. If it doesn't work, we can always try a different fertilizer, but we're going to try the Sikkim Flourish for now. And we're just going to do 1 capful. A dose of 60 gallon dose. Again, this is a 100 gallon tank, and we're going for about a half dose. This is a 60% dose instead of 50%, but it's still okay. So we're going to fill that cap. We're going to dump that in there. And boom, that's dosed for the next 7 days. And 7 more days, we are just going to I'm going to come back, dose it again, and just keep monitoring our algae issues. We do have a little bit of hair algae in here, but as long as the plants start growing fine, they will outcompete the hair algae very well. and we won't really have to worry about that anymore. And that's about all we have for this tank today. It still looks a little new. Not all the plants are growing and healthy. They're looking a little bit greener. Some of them do have more leaves. They're all kind of steered up towards the light now, but there's still a lot more to come with this tank. So it's not really anywhere near done yet. It's always going to be growing. It's always going to be progressing, but the plants still have a good way to go. But they're definitely off to a fair start. They're not dying. They're not decaying. They're not melting. So we're doing all right. And we're also going to make some DIY root tabs with Osmocote and some of those gelatin capsules that they use for, like, peel medications. And we're going to just put those in the substrate, especially over here by some crypts and some of these valves. And I'll take this off so I can show you guys. And so, like over here by these swords, these are still some small swords right here, but they'll grow, just like that one, big and tall. These are some crypts right here, some regular crypt one-side greens. This is a failed jungle val. This is a whole bunch of, I think this is Obitus, maybe, I'm not exactly sure. I believe this is water wisteria. This is, I believe, 2 different species of hygrophila. This is Lobelia cardinalis, also known as the cardinal plant. Yes, but this is about how it looks so far. Not too good, not too bad. For a plant grow tank, it's actually looking pretty okay. We have some of this. Let's grow a little bit slower. Red plants usually grow a little bit slower, more compact. We have a bunch of Anacharis. We have some this Rotala. At least I believe this is just standard Rotala rotundifolia, like the common Rotala. I don't exactly know what that plant right there is. I think that might be like Kabomba or something. I'm not exactly sure about that one, I gotta admit. But yeah, we dosed this tank, we water changed it, and yeah, that's about all we have for today. The next video on this tank will probably be making root tabs and then putting root tabs in the substrate in this tank to get these more heavy root feeding plants growing. All these plants are root feeding, but it's mainly because, like, a lot of these stems you can grow them floating and they'll just pull nutrients from the water column. But over here, swords especially, they are heavy root feeders because they establish such huge root systems, and they intake most of their nutrients from the substrate itself. And there is nutrients in the substrate. Like, this is a lot of aqua soil in here, but it looks a little old and a little bit decayed. Aqua soil doesn't last forever. It eventually does run out of nutrients when plants use it, but we're just going to give it a little bit of a boost with some root tabs, some extra nutrients. And we're also not going to pay extreme amounts for root tabs, like how some people like to overcharge for them. So yeah, but you guys will see all that. We plan to take you guys along with the whole journey of these tanks, with this tank, all the other tanks, and everything. So yeah. Alright, and that's about it for this one. Just like how I explained before, just replanting some of the still viable stems that floated over the top, scooping all the rest of the decaying leaves, and some of the dead floaters, and also just kind of clearing out the top of it, so that way we can get a lot of light penetration. The last thing I'm going to do here is install some more lights, just so we can get this side lit up, and sort of this side lit up some more. We have some lights on standby from last week. And yeah, that's about it. We dosed it, 60% dose, because it was just convenient. And topped it up. I'm going to put the lid on to limit evaporation, get some more light on here. That could work for the front or this side. So I think that'll sit good right there between those. And if you want, you can put the last one right here in the front. Alright.
I'm holding this up.
Alright.
Right now.
Woof. Try not to hit everything up here. A lot of light on this tank.
Alright, plug in.
Alright.
Right here.
So yeah.
Run that through right here, like where the air lines go. Hopefully, plug in the reach. Just 1 second, let me put the phone back.
Here's the other cord for the other light too. I'm gonna take this hose out here. I'm gonna move it over for a second. Switch. Oh, it's right there. Okay, cool. It's a little red, but light is light.
Oh yeah, that looks really nice now.
Cool. Yeah, now everything's getting light. The valve should, start to propagate a lot. Like I said, you guys, mainly when we get these root tabs in, you'll see this side take off a lot. All these will have a lot of benefit from the liquid fertilizer, but it's mainly this side, the root feeding side, the valves,
Should order
the crips,
those tonight.
and then the swords. And we're gonna probably time lapse of us pumping out a couple hundred of those, planting them everywhere, and then really getting some of these root feeding plants growing. So you have other tanks with crips and swords. They could definitely use it too. And yeah, that's about it for that one. We did everything we needed to do. It's looking pretty clean, pretty organized. Now it just needs to grow.
Awesome.
Matt right there. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming along. I hope you learned something. Like always, if there's something we could be doing different or better, just leave a comment. We don't take it personally. We're looking for a little bit of advice here, a little bit of customer feedback, a little bit of viewer feedback. But yeah, that's about it for this one for like the 5th time.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
We're Pendley's Plentiful Pets.
And Arizona Fish Rescue, based out of Kingman, Arizona. Sorry for interrupting you, man.
Have a wonderful morning, day, or night. You're good.
All right.